Today, we're ripping into one of the most mobile, aggressive, and just plain fun builds in where winds meet. The Nameless Sword and Nameless Spear combo. If you love zipping in and out of fights, spamming sword waves from a distance, and then committing to heavy spear bursts, this build is absolutely for you. I'm going to walk you through everything. Inner ways, mystic arts, the best gear, what stats to prioritize, the optimal rotation, and some pro tips for managing that all-important stamina bar. Let's dive in. This build is all about supreme mobility and smart stamina management. The Nameless Sword gives you ranged poke and unmatched ability to reposition, while the Nameless Spear delivers heavy, committed combos and huge charged hits. If you can master the stamina economy, you will dominate everything from small skirmishes to major boss fights. So, why does this combination work so well? First, the mobility is off the charts. You get fast repositioning tools, ranged sword waves, and a playstyle that encourages a lot of dodging. Second, it's incredibly versatile. You can harass enemies with light attacks from your sword and then deliver a massive, single target punch with your spear when you see an opening. And third, it's a challenge. Stamina is your limiting factor. You have to play smart, weave in your basic attacks, and use your mystic arts and inner ways too. Minimize how much endurance you're spending. Let's talk about inner ways. There are a few must-haves for this build to really sing. First up is Sword Morph. This is the core. Upgrade for your sword. When you use Vagrant Sword, which is the Nameless Sword's charged skill, with a key shield active, it shoots out extra sword energy attacks at stage 2. You can even consume extra endurance to boost the damage of that energy, getting a 1% damage increase per point of endurance up to a 20% boost. This gives you huge burst potential if you manage your stamina correctly. Next, you have a choice. Morale Chant is a solid pick that gives you reverse stacks whenever you attack, which is a small but consistent damage buff. If you want more steady, scaling damage, this is a great option to swap in. However, for boss fights, Battle Anthem is a game changer. It increases your charged skill damage against bosses by a flat 10%. That is a massive boost for your raid and boss DPS, finally, and this is critical. You need Mountain's Might. This inner way makes your spear skill, Chenkin's Lock, grant you a buff called Endless Gale. This buff reduces your endurance cost by 20% for 5 seconds. This is absolutely essential for sustaining your heavy spear combo windows without completely draining your stamina bar. Now for Mystic Arts, which provide key utility and survival. Your first choice is Ghost Bind. This lets you flash forward and lock up to 6 enemies in place for 5 seconds, and it also breaks their vital points. You can use this to create huge openings for your burst combos, especially in group content, your other option. And one I highly recommend is Ghostly Steps. This grants you a buff called Mirage for 20 seconds. It reduces your dodge endurance cost by a whopping 40% and slightly lengthens your invincibility frames during a dodge. This is borderline mandatory for this build. It lets you dodge like a demon without completely destroying your stamina bar. Let's move on to gear. For your weapon set, you'll want the Swallow Call set. The 2-piece bonus gives you a flat plus 27, your minimum physical attack. The 4-piece bonus is where it really shines. Your light attacks will deal 15% more damage to targets under 40% ki, and you get an extra 5% damage against exhausted targets. This is perfect because it keeps your damage high even when you're in a recovery phase, just weaving in light attacks while your stamina recharges. The synergy with light attacks helps you squeeze out damage during any downtime. For your armor, you're looking for the Calm Water set. The 2-piece bonus gives you a nice 13 physical defense, but the 4-piece is the real prize. When you perform a perfect dodge, you have a 50% chance to restore 3% of your max HP and, more importantly, 10 endurance. This restores not just health, but the resource you need most. It pairs beautifully with ghostly steps, allowing for aggressive dodging loops where your perfect dodges actually give you back the stamina you need to keep going when it comes to stats. Your priorities are pretty straightforward. You want to stack attack and minimum bell strike attack to maximize your raw damage output. After that, focus on critical rate and critical damage to amplify those big charged hits from both your sword and spear. On your gear pieces, look for any substats that affect endurance, like affinity that boosts dodge or regeneration. And of course, add defense as you need it. A good tip is to try and roll affinity and crit stats on your defensive gear pieces where possible to boost both your survivability and your burst potential at the same time. Now, let's put it all together with the rotation. This is the loop you'll want to practice until it becomes muscle memory. You'll start in your Nameless sword stance. Use Daunting Strike to close the gap or reposition quickly. Immediately follow up with the Daunting Strike second stage attack to trigger the extra sword waves from your sword morph inner way. After that, use Shadow Step to create some distance from a safe distance. Hold and execute the Nameless Sword's charged skill. Vagrant Sword to stage 2 to fire off those powerful sword waves. If you have the stamina to spare, consume a little extra to amplify the damage. Then, use the Shadow Step follow-up skill to close back in on your target. Once you're back in melee range, swap to your Nameless Spear. Immediately use Legion Crusher. This will grant you the unrivaled buff and speed up the charge time for your next charged attack. Then, cast Chenkin's Lock. This will restore the endurance you just spent on Legion Crusher and grant you the Endless Gale buff, reducing your endurance costs. With those buffs active, execute the Nameless Spear's charged skill for a massive burst of damage. After that, simply swap back to your Nameless Sword and repeat the entire loop. A few important notes on the rotation. Always be weaving light and heavy attacks while you're waiting for stamina or cooldowns. These are your recovery damage ticks, and they'll help keep the pressure on. Remember to use ghostly steps before you anticipate a big window where you'll be dodging a lot. This will dramatically cut your stamina costs. And practice your perfect dodges to trigger the Calm Waters set bonus, which will give you back endurance and HP. Also, get the timing down for Vagrant Sword Stage 2 release when your Key Shield is up to maximize the extra sword waves from Sword Morph. Stamina management is the key to mastering this build. So here are a few final tips. First, and most importantly, do not burn all your stamina at once. Always leave enough to perform a dodge. If you're caught with 0 stamina, you'll be punished hard. Second, the combo of ghostly steps and the Calm Waters set bonus lets you effectively reset your endurance through perfect dodges. Get that perfect dodge timing down. And third, if you find yourself low on stamina, don't panic. Just reposition, weave in your light attacks until it recovers. Remember, those light attacks still get a nice damage bonus from the Swallow Call set .so who should play this build. It's perfect for players who love a high skill ceiling, high mobility, and a playstyle that relies on precise timing. It's also great for players who want the flexibility of both ranged harassment and powerful, single target burst damage. It's probably not the best choice if you prefer a tanky, slow-paced playstyle. With this build, stamina management isn't just a suggestion, it's mandatory. And there you have it. The Nameless Sword and Nameless Spear build. It's fluid, it's hectic, and it's insanely rewarding once you master that stamina dance. If this guide helped you out, do me a favor and smash that like button, subscribe for more where wins meet builds, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.